Okay, so I'm just cleaning my brush before I start on my next colors. So the next color set that I'm going to do are my violets. So on my palette, what I want to do is I want to bring some of my red in here. So I have a little bit of red left in case I need it, in case I go too dark. Now blue is our darkest color. So we only need a teeny tiny bit at a time in order to change this. And we're gonna do red violet, and then blue violet, okay? So again, like the teeniest, tiniest bit is going to change it really fast. So I just have a ladybug's worth or a little ant's worth on here. And you can always add in more, but you can't take it out. So just be aware of that. So that didn't change that much, so I'm gonna add a teeny tiny bit more. And look, that teeny tiny bit really just changed it. So this is looking closer to a red violet now. Almost there. We want it to be violet and not just red, but we don't want it to be violet yet. Okay, so there we go. That's dark enough to be a red violet. So it'd be kind of like a grape color. And then go ahead and paint that right next to the red, because it's going to be our red violet. So red, and then our secondary violet. That's how our tertiaries are named. Our tertiaries are primary dash secondary. Da-da-da. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty good. So you can see the red is very red, and this is almost like a wine or a grape color. Okay, now you're gonna keep adding a little bit more blue in at a time until you get a violet, and you'll realize that it's not gonna look red violet anymore. It's actually gonna just change to a whole new color at some point. So you have to keep just adding in the blue until it really does look like violet. So I'm still going here, not quite there yet. I don't want to see any red anymore. Still a little bit red, so I'm going to add a little bit more in there, and then all of a sudden it's starting to look like violet, so it should be really dark. So that's a great violet. It's got a little bit of red tones in there. I could have done a little bit more blue, but that'll work. So once you pay attention to how much you're adding in, so when you do this on your own and you're mixing your own new colors, that you have those little discoveries for yourself. Okay, and now I've got my secondary violet, so now I need my tertiary blue violet. Again, tertiary is named after the ones on each side, so this is blue violet. So I'm going to add a little bit more blue in there. Now I really don't want to have any lightness. It should be almost like a navy purple. It's going to really change. Actually, this is actually a better purple. Violet. Violet, violet. So violet's pretty dark. I'm going to keep adding in more blue. I don't want it to look blue, but I don't want it to look... There we go. So at one point, it's just going to really change quickly. So it doesn't quite look blue. It doesn't quite look red. It's pretty violet. It's almost like a navy color. Like a jean color. And there we go. Okay, so I did add a little bit more last second to that purple to make it a little tiny bit darker. Okay, so the last one is our greens. So I turn this, got a little bit of paint on the bottom. Okay, so I have left my yellow, and I'm just going to scoop a little bit of it over, because that way I'll have a little bit in reserve just in case I need to lighten something up. For the yellow green, like you really just need the teeniest, tiniest bit of blue to change it. It's gonna change really quickly. So you can see it already changed just with a teeny tiny bit. And that's good enough for a yellow green. Okay, so it's kind of like a slimy green color. And voila. So I'm gonna paint that on. So it's pretty close to my yellow. I can just do layers. Or if I decide after I add more blue, I can always go back over it a little bit more. You want it to be pretty even though, so try to make it as even as you can. I'm going quickly. You guys might have to go a little bit slower than I am, but I've done this a lot. Okay, now just like with the violet, you're gonna have to add in a little bit of green at a time, and then eventually it's just gonna turn green, and you're just gonna know that that's not yellow green anymore, that's green green. But don't add too much blue because you don't want it to turn a blue green, and that's gonna be our last tertiary color that we do. So this is actually looking pretty good right now. And when I add this in, is there a difference between my yellow green and my green? Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just be satisfied with that and paint it down. Okay. Now, last one. So I'm gonna add a little bit of blue at a time, change it into a blue-green. So I want it to be halfway between my green and my blue. So I don't want it to look blue, but I also don't want it to look like that green. So it's kind of like an aqua color. That should end up looking like. And as we paint it on, it's looking pretty aqua-y. And that's my last tertiary color. I'll get this on here and then I'll show you the final product. Okay, so there it is in all its glory. You can pause it if you want right now, and then you can match your colors as you go along. Okay.